everyone, Therese here. I hope that you're having a happy Wednesday. And tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so before I forget to say it, happy Thanksgiving. I have another karma cards for you today. I want to get that one out this week. There's so many messages that are coming through right now. I mean, I'm having a hard time picking one to share. So I'm just gonna feel into it. I actually have notes because so many messages are coming through. All right, so the one that feels the most resonant to share with everybody today is about the fact that polarity exists, right? And we sometimes try to resist polarity, meaning that the extremes of life exist, and it can be really tempting to want to reject one extreme from another. So in terms of polarity, right, you've often heard me talking about the service to self faction, which would be the negative polarity, and the service to others, which is the positive polarity. And it can be really tempting to kind of want to block one out, especially if you favor another side, right? Especially if you favor positivity. I favor positivity. So the desire to want to be like, no, there's no such thing as negative, or I don't want to hear the negative, or I'm not going to think about that. That comes in for sure. We want to embrace the extremes of life and understand that nothing gets created accidentally by source, by the universe. Nothing is created by accident. It's all intentional, and it's all to serve a greater purpose. So we want to learn how to hold a paradox. So at the chapter that we're at right now, we are not free of paradox. We are not free of polarity. Polarity exists. And the team was saying, and again, I had to write it all down in notes. The team wanted me to share the story from the Law of One that resonated with me to help explain why in this part of the journey polarity exists. So the best way I can describe it is we're going to pretend like we're in an 8-book series. Anybody who loves to read, you understand what I'm talking about. Like we have 8 books to read, and we're currently on book 3, and we're going to move to book 4. In book 3 though, polarity exists. So that's where we are at. And what they want me to tell you is that there have been many incarnations of life where they tried things differently, meaning the universe, meaning the higher creator beings who are trying to formulate the perfect environment for spiritual soul growth. They wanted to simulate a perfect environment in which a soul can experience the most growth in a process. And they did try an example of an environment that was free of polarity. Right? So the beings in this environment didn't understand, they didn't know pain, they didn't know suffering, they didn't know lack. They had all their needs met. It was like a beautiful vacation 24/7 for these beings in this environment. And they had nothing to help them understand what they had and what they didn't have. And because of that, these beings in this very particularly non-polarized environment had no impetus to grow. And if you think about it, if you think about your own life and the times where it's going really well, ask yourself honestly, have you ever wanted to change during that time? When things felt good, when the money's flowing, when the relationship's going well, when the job is fun. These are the times where we generally want things to stay the same, right? We don't want to experience change. We want more of this feeling. Well, this other environment that was created before our current environment, they had that. They had like a static, well-being, ease and grace kind of life. And none of them wanted to change. They did not want to leave. They didn't want things to progress or move forward. They just wanted to stay where they were. And you can't blame them. I mean, it sounds great. However, it totally defeated the purpose of the soul evolving to a next level of being, to a next greater expression of the soul self. So, these beings, oh, all the cards went down. So these beings were like, oh crap, this isn't working. They're not doing anything. They're not trying to grow. They're not trying to progress. They're not trying to become a better version of themselves. They're simply staying put. So they introduced polarity. So the new environment then had the abundance, it had the love, it had the well-being, but it also had the lack, it also had illness, it also had strife in it. And what they found was by having a balance of both of these energies, of these polar opposite energies, that being able to taste the fruit and then being without the fruit, if you will, it created catalyst for people to grow. They wanted to expand. They wanted the fruit back, right? They wanted the good time back. They wanted the good feeling back. And because of that, what Catalyst did is it gave them an impetus to make choices. And when we make choices, this is where we start to grow from. So all of our choices ripple out and have an effect on our personal life, but then they ripple out into the world. And so this environment was designed in this way, in which we would experience the best and the worst, and not necessarily know how to avoid one or the other. You couldn't escape. No matter how good you were, no matter how many things you did right, there'd always be this polarity existing. And should it need to come in, it would. And one of the reasons why we resist the idea of polarity or extremes in life is because we actually are, our soul origination, our soul essence, where we came from, has nothing to do with polarity. It's all a unified field. Your original essence is oneness. So you are everything. You are fully, all the paradoxes are resolved, all the polarities are resolved, and you're in this beautiful place of oneness with all that is, and that is your original state. And you hold this memory in you, whether you're conscious of it or not. And when you come here into this environment where there is polarity, where there is strife, where there is illness, where there is darkness, and there's also light and love and beauty and abundance, it actually creates a natural reaction in you to want to resist, because this is not what you are. And until we realize what's playing on us, we don't know why we resist. So when you come from a pure state of oneness with total and absolute integration, and then you come into a plane that feels split, there's a natural tendency to resist. We resist because it doesn't feel like us. But what we want to do is learn how to surrender to the environment and embrace it, and understand why it operates this way and what it's doing for us. So what polarity and extreme opposites in energy do for us is, again, creates catalyst. We are not those beings who are kind of sitting there stuck in their life. Anytime we get catalyst, it spurs us to move forward. So you want to think about this. Catalyst can look like the carrot or the stick, right? And many times the thing that motivates us more, which let me let you answer it. What do you think motivates people more? Getting the carrot or getting the stick? Most people are motivated by the stick, actually. They're motivated by the negative experience that they don't want to have, and that spurs them to make better choices. So even though we think we're motivated by what we want, many times we're actually motivated to take action when we see what we don't want. And that's when people act. So polarity creates the catalyst creates the choice, and the choice creates the evolution. And this is why this book, this chapter, in the series of books I'm talking about, we're in book 3, right? We're ending book 3. In this book, we need polarity. But negative feedback doesn't necessarily mean negative feedback from others. It can be negative feedback from your environment. For example, I'll tell you a personal story. Back in 2014, life got really complicated for my little family. I just had my second child, and I wasn't recovering well from the surgery, and I couldn't work, and we were basically down to a one income family, and we couldn't live off of that one income, and we ended up getting evicted. And it sucked. It absolutely did suck. It was a scary period of my life. However, it at the time I was also studying manifesting quite deeply and doing a lot of personal spiritual work, and I'll tell you, nothing got me to focus in on really getting hold of what I'm creating in life than having an experience where everything gets taken away. And when it got taken away, I had a choice. I could sink or swim. And of course, I started swimming, and I started swimming harder than I ever had. And not harder, and like I didn't struggle, I didn't go through pain and agony. I actually went in a different direction than I've ever gone, and I went into deep trust that I could create the solution, that the solution existed. And within a 2-week period, we were in a new home. And it's a longer story than that, but my point is that even though I was studying manifesting, and even though I had all of these visions and dreams of what I could create if I really put my energy into it, there was nothing giving me a sense of do it now or else, right? Like sink or swim, like having negative catalysts be introduced into my life and going, holy shit, I better do something right now. Either I make good on this or I find a different approach, because if this approach doesn't work, I'm sunk. And it did work. And I'll talk about that at another point in time. But what I'm saying is I wasn't motivated by the good feelings alone. I really had to have the rug pulled out from underneath me to get it, that I need to make a different choice here. And it wasn't a different choice like the traditional choices we think we should make, like maybe you should get a job. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. I manifested a new home purely through a desire and a will to make it happen. So this is why I'm saying that the stick motivates us more when things don't go the way we think we want them to go, and we become complacent where we don't know we have. When things don't go the way we want them to go, we snap out of complacency. We go, oh my God, that's not where I want my life to go, and I got to fix this. I got to do something. And I think it was Cortez, like it's a quote from Cortez, I believe, where it's burned the boats to take the island, right? So that was a shitty move on Cortez's part. He burnt everybody's boats so that all of his soldiers would fight to take over the island, because he gave them no means of escape. And that was a negative catalyst to get a specific end met. And so the reason I bring all of this up is because when we start to see that the paradox and the negative and the thing that feels like this is not helping me, this is not going to help me, universe, why are you putting this in my path? Maybe, just maybe, it was put in your path because it's the very thing that will help you. And that's when we start to see that a challenge isn't necessarily the universe trying to shut you down. A challenge is an opportunity. When we start thinking like that, we start looking for where we can do things differently. Sometimes we can look for where we were committing or maybe lacking commitment, and we can learn about ourselves, who we are, when we are put under pressure, right? So it's interesting because our personalities our personalities project a lot, and our ego especially thinks a lot about ourselves that we don't know if it's true yet until the metal is tested, right? Until we test the metal, we don't actually know if we're made of that or not. So it's really interesting that some people who have personality leanings towards bravery, or maybe they're more have bravado, really, because that's what fake bravery is, right? So people with a lot of bravado, when put under pressure, might find that they're actually not so confident and brave, whereas people who might have had felt pretty meek and like they're not sure if they can handle it when put under pressure, absolutely shine and see another part of their personality or their own makeup that they weren't even acknowledging yet. right? You don't know if you can manifest until you're put on the spot to do it, and it's important to you, and then suddenly, boom, you're manifesting. And that moment, by the way, of, losing my home at that time, it was humiliating. It was embarrassing. It made me feel so small. But now, you know, 5 years later? Yeah, 5 years later, I look back on it and I'm like, that was a gift. I see it so clearly. What a gift I got. It created this whole trajectory that if I hadn't had that gift, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't have had the guts to do it if I hadn't experienced that 5 years ago. And so the choices that I made from that moment of catalyst rippled out to me being here and sharing this with you. And whatever choice you make from hearing this will ripple out and affect somebody else. So there is always a gift. And many times, a challenge is like a closed fist, right? Looks like a closed fist, but what's really inside of it is a gift. It's just hidden inside the challenge. And if you understand that paradox and polarity are all part of a greater plan, that you're actually here at the end of book 3 because you're going to be the hero of book 4. And book 4 is going to be way better. It's going to be way better, you guys. I mean, we're already like bridging those 2 books right now. We're about to move into that 4th book, and it's going to be mind-blowing. So they want you to know that all of this was set up to give you success. And they want to let you know, too, that if the pain feels intense, if the resistance feels intense, if the fear feels intense, you have a higher power and you have your team in spirit. You have your own team, and they're here, and they're like, give it to me. I'll hold it. You rest on me. Know that you are surrounded by love. Every time I try to even express it, I start to feel like I'm going to cry because the amount of love around you will blow your mind. You wouldn't even be able to contain the joy and happiness if you could know just how much is supporting you right now. It would blow your mind. So they're saying when it gets too much, you're not supposed to do it alone. That's why you got a support team. None of us came here without support. And this has been a year of opportunity to really meet that support. And know that when it feels too much, you can hand it over to your higher power and rest and trust them that they can help you with this. So you got your support teams. Everybody, give a round of high fives to your team because they're right here. And if you're listening with me now, they're asking you, they were like, hey, turn on Facebook. We want to tell you something. So your team says hi. And now let's do karma cards. All right, so those who are familiar with karma cards, you know the deal. Those who are new to karma cards, let me tell you how I do it. So this is a pick a card reading. You do get to pick whether you take action or outcome. It's a little different than a 1, 2, 3 card, but it's still pick a card, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, so what we have here are the 3 decks. I have the planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked the team, what's the message that we need right now? They've given me an answer, and they've given me 2 sets of answers. One in red, which is action, and one in blue, which is outcome. And the way you pick is you decide whether you want red for action, blue for outcome, or you can choose both. And many times people choose both, or purple. So you can absolutely choose that. So while you're choosing, let me tell you the flavor of this reading. We have Mars in the sign of Aries, which is where Mars is currently placed in the sky right now. Mars is in Aries. Mars has gone direct. We are fully direct now. Mars is how we take action, and Aries is all about instigating action. And with this placement in the sky right now, you're seeing things happening in your life and in the world. You're seeing action happen. More of that's coming, and that's the emphasis this week. And the area of life that it's affecting is the 9th house, which is the house of travel and mental expansion. So when you travel around the world, your mind expands because you learn more about the world. But mental expansion also means the messages from your higher mind as well as educating and opening the mind. So for those who are choosing red, your spiritual action, energize your willpower as if it came from God. Energize your willpower as if it came from God. I love this, and it goes nicely in line with what I was talking about, because willpower is it's your choosing tool. That's how you choose things. That's how you manifest things. This is how you will something to be. Once you've chosen, that's a decision. And what you've decided is your will. So they're saying it's time to, energize that place. Interestingly, will is also connected to your heart. And I'm all about the heart, and I'm all about listening to the heart. So the extra layer I'm going to add to this is, it says as if it came from God. Well, it did. Your heart is directly connected to your soul, your higher self. All the information is purely from your higher self. The mental action at this time: confront what you think you know about the philosophies and laws involved. This is interesting because it was actually another message that came from the team. Confront what you think you know about the philosophies and laws involved. Question everything. That is what the open mind does. The open mind hasn't settled into a static position. An open mind is an active and flowing mind. It's a curious mind. It's a questioning mind, right? It's like the child from the ages of 1 through 6, right? Is literally, child from the age of 1 through 6 is literally the subconscious mind, which is God. It is the inner God. It is the soul operating. They question everything. They're never satisfied with an answer. And then if they get an answer, then they ask more questions about it. So the mental action right now is confront what you think you know about philosophies and laws involved. This could mean on a personal level. It can mean on things you're looking at outside of your own life. But be curious and get in there and start looking at things and questioning them and going, why is it like that? That doesn't make sense, right? And get the brain juices really working, going, I want to know more. And a great way to ask is to go inward, in through the heart, and upward to your higher self, and start asking questions from there, because you're tapped into all information that is, was, or will be. And the more you do that, the more you become psychically activated, by the way. The physical action at this time: force yourself to do it your own way, and do it in a big way, right? So force yourself to do it in your own way and do it in a big way. Do it in your own way is be the individual, be the original, be the pioneer, be the individualist, be the original. I keep saying that. That's the words they keep telling me to use. Original thought. Hold on. Yeah. It feels like you're being forced to conform during this time in all sorts of ways. You do not have to. That is a choice. And the message here is to make sure that you understand that you are the creator being of your life. And there are other people in the world, there are other energies and entities out there that will try to persuade you otherwise. But it's still your choice whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them. It always will be in your hands. No one can take it from you. They might tell you they can take it from you, but they can't. That is your choice to give over power or not. And it's asking you to stand for you. So one of the things that has really been a great lesson for me this year is learning how to not abandon myself when it's really uncomfortable, right? When you're in a position or you're at a perspective which is not gelling with others. It is tempting to want to fold and just bend, right? It's called bandwagoning. That's a type of a social technique to get everybody to do the same thing, and not everybody wants to. But when we don't listen to that inner calling because we don't want to be the one not on the bandwagon, what that does is it's abandoning your authentic personality, your authentic stance, where you're coming from in the world. And when you abandon yourself, you stop trusting yourself. When you stop trusting yourself and you try to go in to get intuition, you can't. Why? Is it because you shut it off? No, I mean, it's dimmed a little. But when you don't trust the resource, it doesn't matter if you're getting the word of God through your heart, you're not going to believe it, right? And also there is this sort of symbiotic relationship where when you resist yourself, you push back on yourself. And it just imagine pushing back on a mirror. You're retracting and the reflection is retracting too. So standing for yourself and doing it your own way, and especially in a time period where it's not clear, it's not completely clear, or not everybody's agreeing what that way should be. The universe, the team, they keep reminding me that no matter what's happening in the outside world, this is your life and you only get so much time. How much of it do you want to spend waffling? How much of it do you want to spend struggling? How much of it do you want to spend acquiescing? Will you be pissed off later if you find out you wasted so much of your own energetic currency, right? Is that going to tick you off down the road? If you get an inkling that, yeah, that might really piss me off, then they're saying, hey, it's time to stand for yourself. And, you know, I believe that everybody has the right to see the world that they see it. Everybody has the right to choose to go along with something or choose to reject it. That is free will. That is the will of the universe. Free will is the law. It can be difficult when you want people to do things that you're doing. That can be absolutely difficult. It can be frustrating, but this is what we can know, is that we're trying to control something that's out of our hands. And if the coin was flipped and they were trying to control us, or they were trying to control you, would you want that? And if you get a big, strong, F no, then you know that you got to back away from that. You got to go into more trust. You're not trusting something. You're not trusting the bigger picture. You're not trusting other people. You're not trusting you, right? And when we go back to what we have control over, which is ourself, and doing right by ourselves, then we start doing right by others naturally, because nobody's abandoning you now when you're there for you. When you're there for you, you've got fortitude and strength. And when you're doing what's right by you, whether it's popular or not, you're going to have a grounded foundation to work from, and you are going to be a pillar and a rock for others as well. For those who are choosing blue or outcome or both, your spiritual outcome at this time is a drive for the energies to meet the challenges of spiritual values. All right. So your spiritual values, that's what you stand for. Those are your morals, right? And this is what you stand for, whether it's popular or not. What you're going to get is the energy to meet the challenge that comes. And don't think that one road is challenge-free. There is no challenge-free road at this time. That is why they wanted me to talk to you about extremes and polarities, because the choice that resonates with you might feel like there's a little bit of danger attached to it, or a little bit of lack of safety, right? The choice that you're making, because it doesn't necessarily feel fully supported. Trust me, or trust the team when they say the other side, the other choice feels the same way, except it feels less authentic to you and therefore more shaky. The mental outcome at this time, the confronting of your desires regarding long-range thinking or travel, okay? Long-range thinking or travel. So this is, again, that's the ninth house talking. They're talking about mental expansion, and long-range thinking is thinking about the future, but also thinking about the bigger picture. Where is this all going, right? So this is going to be an active time of energy where your desires are going to be beating out of your chest, because you're not going to want to be, and we're seeing it happen in the outside world. It's a beautiful parody for, I mean, it's definitely matching what this reading is saying. But you're seeing people who's like their desire is strong and they know they're right for themselves. They know they're in a match with themselves and they won't be subdued. And this is happening to all of us, not on the same issues, not on the same things. It could be very personal. It could be a very personal thing to you, but you will be confronted directly with that which you truly desire. And you'll have that deep-seated understanding that this goes past this moment. This is a ripple effect. This choice is going to take me down a certain road for a while until another choice point comes that could change the path. Physical outcome, action resulting from the honesty and strength of what is to be shared. Oh, this is awesome and also very scary. Action resulting from the honesty and strength of what is to be shared. So you're going to rub somebody in this world the wrong way. You could be doing everything right, okay? You could be trying to, stay in a box, stay in a line, be quiet, be meek, not ruffle feathers. You could be doing your damnedest to not ruffle feathers. I guarantee you someone's going to be pissed off about your choices, no matter what they were, right? So while we're so worried about our authenticity, about where we honestly are with ourselves, where we're so worried about that impact on others, we need to realize that this is the moment that we're at now. We're at this place where, do you guys remember the show The Real World? The tagline was, let's see what happens when people, what was the tagline? It's like, people stop being nice and start being real. Stop being honest and start getting real. Okay. Something like that. The whole point is, how long can you keep a pretense up? Right? How long can you keep the pretense up of what's socially acceptable? How long before the mask drops? Okay? The mask is dropping. It's time to start being real and understand that you want to connect with someone on a real level, on an honest level, on a genuine level, and you want to be accepted for what you are and not what you pretend to be. And the more people do this, when the more people start wanting to be accepted for what they are and not what they pretend to be, everybody gets to relax because everybody can start being real. And when we start accepting ourselves for what we really are, when we have that self-acceptance, it's easier to start accepting others. And when others feel accepted, right, when everybody starts to feel that there is no need to comply out of night, like there's this weird thing that's getting you, it's a social conditioning thing about kindness, but it's not real kindness. It's a fake kindness that gets you to comply. I'm just doing this to be nice. I'm doing this to to please other people, but nobody's seeing the real you. Nobody sees what you are. And you never really see them either. And this is why this time period has been crazy for a lot of people, where the facade has dropped in so many ways, and we see people rejecting each other. I'm hoping that's coming to an end, but we see it. We see all this rejection all over the place, of people rejecting each other. And what it has come down to is that because maybe, just maybe, the people that would reject you were attached to something fake and not to something genuine, right? And when you desire to be genuine and truly stand with yourself for who you really are, the people who would really appreciate that can now see you and support you and love you and hold that space for you. So the beauty of this time period, of this current energy cycle, is a desire to show your hand. There is this like, I'm done playing now. This is who I am. This is what I think. This is how I feel. And I need to stand by myself now, for myself now. And I need to not abandon myself to conform. And you know, for some people, their authenticity can be that they want to conform to something. That might be truly authentic in a person. So that is not to judge that, but it's simply to recognize where you authentically stand, where you honestly stand, where it might feel even brutally painful to show it. It's the time to do it because your heart is like, I don't want to be hidden anymore. I do not want to be obscured or covered up, because that's not what I came here to do. I didn't come here to waste time and play games. I came here because I was on a mission for something. I'm on a mission to grow in my own spirituality, and I'm on a mission to bring a gift to this plane. And every single one of us is holding massive gifts. And while we're too busy worrying about what other people think of the wrapping paper, we're wasting time. We're wasting time. It's time to bring the gifts out, right? It's almost Christmas. It's almost time to share those gifts. And this is something we do symbolically that represents a much, much, much bigger energy. So if we can start getting that now, that what you brought to the table, your authentic self, is exactly what the world wants and needs. That's why you were picked, right? So the world wants what you're really bringing. And as soon as you are okay with the love and the hate that will come with that, as soon as you're okay with that, then you can start putting that out there in the world. And that's exactly what creates a higher frequency. I mean, it would not be in our sacred text, all this information about understanding your own authentic spiritual point of view. We are like snowflakes. Okay, so here's how the metaphor of the snowflake works. We are all snow. We're all the snow, right? And the snow is one big collective experience. Within that snow are all these different unique little flakes that form all these beautiful ice crystals that are forming that won't be replicated. So we are both. We are the collective experience, and we are an individual experience as well. And it's time to show your unique beauty by standing up for yourself, whatever that means to you. Right? I'm not going to lay my thing on top of it. Hear it for you, for what it means to you to stand up for yourself, to stand with yourself, and to not abandon yourself in the face of discomfort or pushback. No matter what it is you're going to share authentically, it feels scary, but there's so much joy and so many gifts and so many good things that can come from being in that place, and it is the time. So again, that reading was for today, the 25th of November through December 2nd. So thankful for you. I appreciate you showing up here. It warms my heart, and I'm hoping that every time I come here, I'm bringing something that is useful to you. All right, and I'm seeing all the love, and I love you guys back. So have a magical weekend, and I will see you next week. Mwah. Bye. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.